Hi dear students. In our previous session, we had discussed about using nested list, and I hope you have completed your homework. And if any difficulty is there for completing the homework, definitely we will be coming to help. And today we are going to discuss about a simple data structure using array. And definitely, as part of this computer science syllabus or class 12, you will be discussing about data structures even with advanced topics like linked lists and even recursive data structures. But today we are going to focus upon, or maybe even revising or refreshing your memory related to what you have learned about array. And definitely the need for the array is very clear to you. And when as part of any program, definitely we need to store certain type of data. For example, if you wanted to create a program to add the marks of a student in 3 subjects, definitely you will need 4 variables that are to be declared. 3 variables to store the marks for the subject and a 4th variable to store the sum of those marks. So therefore, for storing any kind of data as part of a program, it is necessary that you have to create variables as part of a program. And this part is very clear when we are going to deal with the amount of data, or when the amount of data is to the mean. But the case becomes different and the program becomes too complex when we wanted to deal with large volume of data. So, if you wanted to store the marks of a student in a 3 subjects, it's going to be simple. But just imagine you are going to store the marks of 3 students, means you can just use 3 variables. And suppose if the number of students is 100, then you are going to declare 100 variables and the program is going to be more complex. It is in this situation, Java gives us the facility to store different large volume of data in a single variable, that is in the form of array. So array is a collection of variables of same data type which are referenced by a common name. Alright. So array is a collection of variables of the same data type. So that is to be noted specially, because different types of data types cannot be stored under a common name. So it is a collection of variables of the same data type that are referenced by a common name. So array can be used where large volume of data is to be declared. So therefore, even if you wanted to store the marks of 100 students, it doesn't matter. You don't have to create 100 different variables. Instead, you can just create a single variable and you can store 100 different values in it. And this is this technique that we are going to discuss as part of this session, that is related to array. So first of all, we will see how an array can be declared. We will proceed to the syntax for declaring an array. This is the syntax for declaring an array. First of all, you have to specify the data type. The type of data is to be specified, type, followed by array name, followed by array name and a square bracket, a combination, equal to new type and type. This is the syntax for declaring an array. Here the type is the data type that is to be used. So as we have already heard, the one array can be used only for storing the various elements of the same data type. And this is the array name of any other variable. So this should be a proper valid Java identifier. And the square bracket and the new operator is also used. And again the type will be used and the size. Here the size refers to the total number of elements that are going to be stored as part of an array. All right. Now we will see an example also for this one so that this syntax can be clearly explained further. Let us say here we are going to create an integer array of 100 elements. All right. So a single variable can store 100 integer values. That is what we are going to see here. Definitely the type is going to be integer. And array name, let's say ARR equal to new integer of 100. 100 is the size of the array. 100 is the size of the array. Yes. So this is how an array can be declared. So this, by changing the size, you will be able to create an array of any size as well. So any number of elements can be stored as part of this array. Now there is another question. So how the various elements of the array can be accessed? Since these are all referenced by a common name. So the elements of the array is mainly accessed using the index or subscript, also is used, it's also called indices or subscript. Sometimes it is also called index. So therefore, definitely the indices of the array will start from 0 to n minus 1, where n stands for the total number of elements. So the subscript for this particular array will be from 0 to 99. And this is how the various elements of this particular array can be accessed. Here of 0 equal to 93. Any integer value can be assigned to this particular variable. 1, 85. And similarly, up to 99, you will be able to store values. All right. This is how the various elements of the array can be accessed individually. All right. So this is not going to be the real UC method. So if large volume is involved, definitely we'll be using loop as we discussed in our previous session. So we'll be using the loop for the processing of arrays. So therefore, this is how different subscripts or indices can be used to access the various array elements as part of a program. Now, here the declaration of the array and this initialization was done in two different places. But in many cases, it is also possible to declare and initialize the array at the same time. Or in other words, it is possible to initialize the array at the time of declaration itself. And this is how it can be done. Suppose this is going to be our array A equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Let's say, see, this becomes an array of 5 elements, and the values are already initialized. And definitely A of 0 will refer to 10, A of 1, 20, A of 2, 30, A of 3, 40, and A of 4, 50. Since there are 5 elements, the indices of this array or the subscripts of the array will move from 0 to 4, since there are 5 elements. And this is how an array can be initialized at the time of declaration itself. And as you can already guess, so if you are going to access this element separately through using all the indices, it's going to be a long process and the program again gets complex. And there won't be much difference between using 100 different variables or 5 different variables. So it is the use of loop which can be used for the processing of the array that makes it more relevant to use the array in terms or places where large volume of data is involved. So definitely when you wanted to use large volume of data, you can definitely use an array or you can use a loop to process this array. Now we will see how a loop can be used for printing all these array elements in different lines. We will just use a loop for printing these elements in a different size. We are going to use a for loop here, and definitely the loop control variable is declared on 4, and the loop should iterate since the indices of this array, the subscript of this array moves from 0 to 4, definitely the loop control variable also move from 0 to 4. I less than or equal to 4, we can put, or less than 5 also can be placed, but for clarity purpose we will be using I less than or equal to 4 and followed by using the increment operator, and we are going to print each of these array elements in separate lines using this statement. So we will be using the println statement instead of the print statement. This is how it can be done. A of I. See, this is how an array can be very easily processed using a loop. Alright, that iterates from 0 to n minus 1, where n stands for the total number of elements. So all the elements of an array can be processed using this technique. Alright, but now have a final look at it, and this is how an array can be processed. Now initializing can be done at the time of declaration, but that is not going to be always a possibility. We have already learned how to initialize the values from the console using the various console input operations, using the input stream reader and buffer reader class, as well as by using the scanner class. Now, as part of the next example, we are going to learn how an array element, how the various array elements can be initialized using the console input operation. Alright, a console input operation can be also used for initializing an array. So that is the technique that we are going to learn as part of this next topic. Our next skill that we are going to learn is initializing arrays using console input. We will learn it with the help of an example. First of all, it is necessary to use the import statement. Since we are going to use the scanner class, we will be importing the util package. Class is already created. Followed by we will create a function. As part of this program, since our purpose is only our skill management, so we are going to create a function, and as part of the function, even we will be creating the scanner class object as well. But in actual cases, it is even possible to declare a scanner class object in the class level for our purpose. But as part of this program, we will be creating it as part of the function itself. Definitely a throws exception can be used. After that, first of all, we create the scanner class object. Scanner s equals new of system.in. So once the scanner class object is created, now our next task is to create an array of any number of elements. It can be created. Let's create an array of 50 elements. So here a special array. Let us say that we are going to store the ages of 50 students. Integer. This is how the array can be created. New integer of 50. Here 8 becomes an integer array of 50 elements, and definitely the subscript will iterate through 0 to 49. Alright. Now we will be able to use a loop that iterates through 0 to 49 for processing this array. Integer I equal to 0, I is less than or equal to 49, I plus plus. Definitely a prompt also can be given here, like system.out.println, enter the age of the first person or second person, and even the value of I can be used for giving that prompt. But our task is mainly our skill building. So definitely we are going to initialize this array elements directly. This is how it can be done. Age of I. See how the loop control variable is used for using instead of using the index. Alright. So the subscript of an array is represented here by using the loop control variable that iterates through the values of the total number of elements in an array. That is from, in this case, 0 to 49. So therefore the loop control variable is iterates through, and the loop control variable is used instead of using the subscript directly. Age equal to fc dot next int. fc dot next. Alright. So each value, all the 50 elements of this array will be initialized using this program. Alright. So all the 50 elements of this array can be initialized using this array. This is how it can be initialized. Definitely the output or the interface of this program can be done in a different way, like giving adequate prompts here. And even after that, this is only a program segment. So definitely this is not a complete program, since our purpose was only to initialize the various 50 elements. And definitely in a similar way, this loop can be, another loop can be also used for the processing of this array. Alright. So the processing of the array also can be initialized. Alright. Processing of the array also can be done with the help of a for loop. So this is the technique for initializing the array element using the console input operator. Got it? Now we are going to learn another skill, the processing of the array. So definitely we will be focusing upon the various program segments only. So rather than going through the complete program, so we will be going for the program segment as part of this array. Now we will see how we will be able to find the sum of elements in an array. And before that, we will also see how an array can be accessed as a parameter or accepted as a parameter to a function. Alright. Okay. So we will be learning that technique as well as part of this session. And this is our program which we are going to solve here. So finding the sum of the elements in an array. And another technique which we will be learning as part of this program will be accepting an array as an argument or a parameter to a function. So these two techniques will be learned through this next example as part of this example. Before that, mainly note down, our program is to find the sum of the elements in an array. Let's look at the program now. And we will use a pure array itself, so which will accept an array and it will return the number of elements in the array. Okay. Public integer. So an integer value will be returned, which will be the total sum of the elements in an array. Let's say get sum, a function that accepts an integer array and will return the sum of the elements in this array. Okay. So this is the technique that we are going to learn. And this is how we can accept an array as an argument. Okay. So this is the technique for accepting an array as an argument here. And definitely we need some local variables here. We need some local variables here. And the main local variables that will be required one local variable will be needed as part of the loop control variable, which will iterate through the indices of the array or through the subscript, that is from 0 to length. Okay. And another one will be sum, which will be initialized to 0, since the various array elements are going to be added to this one. Since addition is involved, we will initialize some variable with 0. And another variable also can be created, length of the array, since we do not know how many elements are there in this particular array. But there is a technique for finding the length of the array, just like using the string function. As part of our next session, we will be also, in our coming sessions, we will also learn about string related operations, in which there is a string function. The length function is also there. And in a similar way, the length of the array also can be found using this technique, length, a dot length, array name dot length. Using this one, we have the length of the array here. We have a variable to store the sum of the elements in the array, as well as we have the loop control variable to iterate through the various subscripts of this array. Now let us proceed with our loop itself. For I equal to 0, I is less than length. That means whatever is the length of the array, it doesn't matter whether it is 50 or 100, it doesn't matter. I is less than length and I plus plus. So it will iterate through the various subscripts of the array. And now it is very easy, we can directly add the various elements of the array to the sum in a single statement. Sum plus equal to A of I. This is only what is required to store the various elements of the array. So this is a very simple program, but this is only to demonstrate the processing of the array in a simple way. All right. After which you will be able to return the value of this sum, since it is a pure function. That return, now use the return statement to return the value, return sum. All right. Now this function can be also. So this is a program to accept an array, to calculate and find the sum of the array elements and to return the value. So this is how an array can be processed using a loop. We will just see another example also, where if you wanted to find the greatest number in an array. Suppose, let us say, our task was to find the greatest value in this A. That is our next program that is going to be done. The greatest value in an array can be found. So this program is clear. We are going to get it erased. Again, we will create it as a pure function. We will create it as a pure function where an array will be accepted and the greatest value, the maximum value in the array will be returned also. Get max. Definitely an array will be accepted as an argument. As we have seen, so definitely we have to use certain local variables as well. Definitely a loop control variable. Then a variable called length equal to A dot length, and plus another variable to store the maximum value in this array. And we will assume that the maximum value is the first element. That is only our assumption, and then we will compare this variable with other values, and if they are greater, we will store that value here again as part of our looping operation. We assume that the value is A of 0, and therefore when we start the loop, that can be a little different. Instead of starting from 0, we can start with 1, because the value of A of 0 is already stored in this variable, so we can start with 1 and I less than len I plus plus. Here we have to use a conditional construct using the if operation. We can compare whether the value that is stored in this max is smaller than, or whether the a of I, the value of a of I is greater than this max value. So if then we will restore that value again. So this is how it can be done. If a of I is greater than max, that means if the next array element is greater than the value that is stored in max, in which case it is the first one, then max equal to a of I. See, this is how the greatest element can be within an array can be found. And once this loop iteration is over, definitely the greatest element in this array will be stored in this variable max. And afterwards, it can be returned also. Return max. See, so we have just seen two examples to demonstrate the processing of an array using loop. So have a final look at this example program. Afterwards, we will be ready for two homework also as part of this array. Before it gets erased, have a final look at it before proceeding to the homework. Now we are going to have it erased. Get your notebook and writing materials ready to take down your homework. And mainly there are going to be two homeworks as part of this session from array. These two homeworks are going to be simple since it is only to get you refreshed with your programming skills with the help of arrays. And your first homework will be, you have already seen how to find the sum of elements in an array, but your first homework is going to be finding program to find the sum of odd numbers in an array. So definitely you will not add all the elements to form the sum of elements, but you will check before adding. You will make sure that this is an odd number. So it is not the position of the number. So the array element should be an odd number. Okay, not the even numbers. So sum of all the odd numbers in an array. That is our first homework. Program to find the sum of odd numbers in an array. And your second homework, that is also going to be simple. So definitely you have already learned how to find the greatest of the numbers. So definitely program to find the smallest element within an array. So if you practice these two programs, you will learn, you will get yourself refreshed with your memory related to the use of the programming skills related to arrays, and get yourself refreshed with your programming skills. And definitely as part of our next session, we will be discussing about the various string related operations. Until then, stay home and stay safe. Bye.